In all myths of beginning, humans were trying to find the meaning of life and try to search where they were coming from and where they are going to. It's crucial that in this we're seeing a complementarity between men and women. Humans somehow unconsciously knew that without this complementarity there would have been no life.
We have two sets of words that are not the same. Male and female, masculine and feminine. Male and female are biological. They require a body, they require genetics. Masculine and feminine are cosmological. Every society in the history of the world has seen that yin and yang, the masculine and the feminine, are not limited to humans or even just to animals. Masculinity and femininity are archetypes. Archetypes are built into the nature of things. Most of us today think that's projection of our own sexuality into the universe. That makes us strangers to the universe. The God who invented human sexuality also invented the universe. The two fit. It's a much happier philosophy. We fit the nature of things.
The oldest religions that ever existed, they were based on this complementarity of the feminine and the masculine. The Quran and the Bible, both of them start with the letter B. The Old Testament starts with Bereshit, bara Elohim, at the beginning God created. And the Quran starts with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, also with B, because A is number 1 and B is number 2. Saying that this world, our world, starts with 2. And from it goes to multiplicity, reminding us of the unity, to which we all shall return.
One of the fascinating things about the book of Genesis is the way in which, though some people have rubbished it and said this is just pre-scientific meanderings, in fact, the more you look at it, the more profound it becomes in terms of an understanding which does cross all sorts of cultures. As the story in Genesis 1 unfolds, we discover that there are all sorts of other things in God's creation which are likewise supposed to be complementaries. We have not only heaven and earth, we have the sea and the dry land. And then within the animal kingdom, we have, of course, male and female. And then the story reaches its great climax with the creation of human beings in the image of God. And so right there at the start of the whole Bible as we have it, in the start of the book of Genesis, we have this rich symbolic account of God's good creation, which then has male plus female at the heart of it as itself a signpost pointing to that great complementarity of God's whole creation of heaven and earth together. Cross-culturally, it seems clear that all cultures across time have known that there is something complementary about maleness and femaleness. In our own culture today, people try to erase those differences.
How are you? Afoma? How are you?
Fine.
How are you?
Fine. The body cannot exist without the bone. Neither can the bone look beautiful without the body or even function properly. One cannot do without the other. The way the man is, there are parts of him that needs me to be full. So it's only in marriage that the man and the woman can come together and live that complementarity to the fullest.
El ser varón y mujer pasa por una biología que es particularmente distinta y complementaria. Decir humanidad es decir hombre y mujer, porque nos necesitamos mutuamente como humanidad, de tal manera que esta complementariedad sí nace de una sabiduría ancestral, de una sabiduría que hoy podríamos llamar en el lenguaje ecológica.
No es solo la suma de lo que cada uno aporta. Con mi esposa yo he aprendido a asumir sus mejores cualidades, pero al asumirlas las he hecho mías y le da un toque masculino que no tenían en ella. Y ella, a su vez, ha procurado no solo adaptarse a mí, sino también lo poco bueno que yo tengo, aprenderlo de mí, y ella lo ha hecho a su manera. Entonces no se trata solo de un todo que se forme instantáneamente, sino de un crecimiento exponencial, que van surgiendo novedades de lo humano que no estaban antes de la unión entre el varón y la mujer.
Mathematically, 1 + 1 is to be 2. Spiritually, and once marriage is involved, 1 + 1 is 1. And we agree that we are one.
And that's where we stand.
To use an analogy to describe, I would say that I'm a ceremonial head. I'm similar to, if you're familiar with the government structure in the United Kingdom, you have the monarchy, and then you have the prime minister. So I'm more like the king, queen, and she's the prime minister. So
I believe that really helps us because we think the same way. He has the confidence to allow me be the prime minister, which I didn't know I was prime minister, I must say.
No me gusta emplear el término iguales referido a personas. Creo que cada persona vale un absoluto, lo vale todo. Prefiero emplear términos cualitativos. La persona, cada una, no es más ni menos ni igual que otra porque no somos cantidades. Cada uno es único.
Con la persona que quieres unir tu vida, además de que hay un compromiso ya de por medio, abres algo maravilloso que es la parte de la intimidad. Digamos que es una profundidad mayor cuando tú hablas con tu esposo, cuando hablas en pareja, aunque incluye la amistad, no es ese paso más hacia adelante, más profundo de entrega. Es una entrega muy diferente.
Toda la vida, toda la capacidad de amar se encauza entonces a través de una persona. Reducir eso a contrato me parece que es empobrecerlo. Es todo un modo de ser. O sea, yo soy el esposo de Lourdes. Lourdes es mi esposa. Yo soy para ella y es para mí.
It's a combination of mythologies in all cultures that emphasizes this coexistence or complementarity, and sometimes where those two came from one origin and they're going back somehow to this origin together through an act of love that is procreative, that brings on a child, that gives humans their dream of immortality.
Todo amor es fecundo. Todo amor hace crecer, sobre todo a quien ama. Normalmente el amor hace crecer también a la persona amada. En el matrimonio hay un tipo de fecundidad añadida. O sea, el primer beneficiario de amar es el que ama. El otro es el cónyuge. Pero el amor del matrimonio tiene una fecundidad especial que es la posibilidad de cooperar con Dios para traer a la vida a una nueva persona, que es lo más grande que puede hacerse en este mundo.
Marriage gives rise to a family, and the family is the first human society, which we can say is the cradle of love and of life. And so marriage is important because marriage actually leads to social cohesion, and marriage makes it possible for a man and his wife to thrive in difficult moments, supporting one another, and to also support the education of their children.
The couple is the locus, it's the starting point, but it's a ripple. It goes round, wide, like that. So the first circle is that family, then the extended family, the community, the society. Whatever I do in my marriage, the circle keeps increasing, it keeps widening until it covers the whole world. So anything positive from my marriage does not just affect my husband and I and the children. Then if it's negative, it is the same thing. That is why we need to see marriage as a sacrifice. It is your own project for the world.
Auguste Rodin was celebrated everywhere in Europe and throughout the world as the greatest sculptor and artist of the 19th century. In 1908, he took these two right hands and put them together with a very delicate gesture where fingers are slightly and gently touching each other. They are forming a perfect architecture, a kind of sanctuary. Between the two hands, it looks like there is nothing, but there is everything. For me, Rodin is telling us, every couple, every family on earth is like a cathedral, requiring effort, care, cleverness, wisdom, and prayer. But at the very end, we are, all of us, we can be the creators of a masterpiece of goodness, beauty, and spirituality. When you have God between them, you have everything.
In the book of Genesis, Genesis chapter 1, the story of creation, as some scholars have suggested, is like God constructing a temple. Heaven and earth are a temple together. And when you build a temple in the ancient world, the final thing that you put into the temple is the image of the God, so that the worshippers may see who the God is, and so that the life and power of the God can flow out into the world of the worshippers. By putting male and female together as the image of God, there's something very powerful being said about the rest of creation seeing this symbol and realizing something about who God is, and about how the male and female together have the task of bringing the love and life and stewardship and care of creation of God into the rest of the world.
Marriage is something that, if you misconstrue its meaning, it would bring about a disintegration, a loss of sense of discernment of what is right and what is wrong.
Desde el punto de vista sociológico, lo que encontramos es que el matrimonio compromete algo muy importante, que es la solidaridad. Cuando uno compromete lo mejor que tiene hacia otra persona, el hombre a la mujer y la mujer al hombre, hay una expansión muy fuerte de las capacidades. Y eso pasa en cualquier cosa de la vida.
The consequences of abandoning all these symbols would be a disaster to our humanity, because they would reflect in us tendencies to live alone. And aloneness is the #1 source of suffering among human beings. And I can see fanaticism and I can see fundamentalism into this direction. The feeling of not belonging to a family could also make us more and more selfish people, because we didn't practice, we didn't experience love within a family. We didn't see love between a man and a woman, and we did not experience receiving love from both a man and a woman. And so we end up thinking that we should take whatever we can. So we either become selfish, we become destructive, living in an illusion of self-sufficiency, keeping us alone. Within the family, we practice that relational dimension. We start developing it in us. And it is in this relational dimension that we can be humans as we are supposed to be. We can seek our goals, we can find our origins and understand the meaning of life. This is where we go back into the hidden places of the cavern and we try to understand who we really are. We are seeking our identity, and our identity is reflected and splendid within families. And this is why the future of humanity lies in families, because our goal, we can start finding it in a family, and practicing to develop and to go further and further towards perfection, it starts in the love cradle of the family.